this morning to speak some thoughts. And of course, it's in the relationship to the attitudes associated with the mental health of many individuals within the United States. First and foremost, I'm going to speak between the two states of Tennessee and Texas. Let's have a clear understanding that at this very moment in time, that many Americans who live in Tennessee or who have lived there in the past or who are part of the military that purchased homes and live there now or who have lived there in the past are aware of the problems in the great state of Tennessee. It's everywhere in Tennessee. There are pockets all over the state. And it's not just with the Department of Child Protective Services. It is with law enforcement. It is with the Mental Health Association of Tennessee. It is with the TBI. And it is with various levels of government authorities within Tennessee not to recognize that your state has problems with the deliverance of safety to their residents and to those who are transient to your state. When well-established patterns of behaviors, conduct go from any type of organization that is local, state, or federal within that state, and they show a pattern of conduct that is inappropriate to any individual that has a mental health condition, any mental health conditions, whether it be a child or an adult, and they have received the same treatment over and over again by various agencies, whether that be the Department of Protective Services for Children, the Adult Protective Services for Adults, whether it be a police department, a sheriff's department, or TBI, it is wrong. And since I'm speaking just about Tennessee at this time, because the established behaviors of the Clarksville Police Department on various YouTube channels of them hitting an individual in crisis who tried to commit suicide in an ER room is a established pattern of behavior. And when you go a few years later, and that same type of behavior are seen in courtrooms, they're seen with Department of Child Protective Services. The only agency that I have not seen that is Adult Protective Services in the state of Tennessee. APS sent a referral from the state of Tennessee to the state of Texas concerning my personal welfare and my personal safety 2 times within the last 2.5 years, and one was recently. Here is the problem here. This is a major problem. Everyone in Tennessee right now is passing the buck for any type of services related to any type of protection for adults or children, except for that one agency. The taxpayers' money for local PD stations and sheriff's departments are not moving quickly enough, or they think that things will just be brushed under the rug. They're not going to be brushed under the rug. When established behaviors and patterns of conduct are established within a particular pocketed area of Tennessee, for instance, you have the Clarksville Police Department losing video footage, police webcam, and you have a TBI agent by the name of Kimberly Lamberson stating in a letter to myself that she has seen that footage. She has seen what took place that day. And she states in a letter that is going to be, it's already been sent to the federal courthouse in Austin, that I was instructed not to dial 911. Okay? She states that in her letter. The Clarksville PD states, we no longer have that footage. It never existed. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that TBI is a little higher than a local police department, and they know and they've seen that footage. So here's the point, okay, about Clarksville. Hearsay and rumors are quick, but I have actual documentation. It's at the courthouse in Austin, at the Federal Western District, United States Courthouse. Here's the problem. I have seen footage, it's on YouTube, of Clarksville PD hitting a young person who's 19 or 20 years old, knocking the shit out of him in an ER room. And he is having a mental crisis. There is supposedly more footage of this being done to others, residents of Clarksville. And it's coming back with the same emphasis. The footage does not exist. There is no footage, okay? I am one of the lucky ones because I know you have to contact other agencies within a very quick period, okay? These other individuals who the CPD has done this to before, they include children, okay? And when it comes to children, when it comes to adults, you have to have a pattern of conduct. You have to establish it. When you go into it and you have been denied rights, and you know others have been denied rights, you have to stick with it to prove a pattern of conduct. Okay? Yes, there's footage from previous years. But when you know that this is happening and is done to you, and other people have come to you and stated, hey, it's been done to us too, and it involves my minor, then you have to stick with it. You have to have enough evidence that when you file at a federal court level, that they accept that they take that complaint, and it's not thrown out. That complaint was filed in June, and the court clerk accepted it. The hard copy evidence has already been sent to the court. The digital evidence will be sent at a later time. So here is the major complaint I have about Clarksville. Okay? You got a new chief of police last year in March. Okay? You should have listened to the residents that try to contact you. Or did your lieutenant forcibly voice to them, there is no conduct or contact with the chief of police? Okay. Concerns within that Montgomery County area, they're alarming. They're very alarming. And I guarantee you right now, at this very moment, there is a homeless person with a mental health condition who the city or a church organization or some type of social network has paid for them to live in a nice hotel for a month. And I guarantee you that individual is being harassed when they call 911 for help, because I saw when I came up there. Here's a major difference between the state of Tennessee right now and the state of Texas. Okay? Our governor down here gives a shit because he falls under ADA. The governor of Tennessee, from my correspondence with him, he lacks the ability to see farther than the end of his writing pen. Okay? He does not care about the children, adolescents, or adults who are having a mental health crisis. And he's taken the word of the sheriffs and the local PD. And in the state of Texas, we have a governor who he's in a wheelchair. He knows that there are problems that exist. His own legislative branches have attacked him for being in a wheelchair. He lives with it every day. But the crisis in Tennessee is very alarming, especially when you have the Tennessee Bureau of Mental Health Associates, which are paid by the taxpayers' taxes and allowances. They give every person up there the runaround concerning the CIT program. Okay? The Crisis Intervention Team Management, which, in collaboration with Austin Peay State University and the Mental Health Association of Tennessee, conducts welfare intervention for any individual that has a mental health crisis, who is suicidal, or may have a TBI injury. And what is sad, through correspondence that I've seen, and I have the letters, but I'm not going to read them on here because they're evidential, and I'm going to use those particular letters for something else that is applicable in Nashville very soon. What is sad is they refer you back to the same system that you filed the original complaint with. And they think that they can just keep on running these people down and keep them in circles. Okay? I'm a very patient person. And I have a very bad habit. I like to write letters. I mean, I will spend $200 to $300 a month on stamps, because that's the love of my life. I love to write. And it's very heartening that 40 years ago in Memphis, that a group of people who loved to write and who believed in righteousness and justice, not just for Tennesseans, but for, residents of Tennessee. They believed in rights of police officers too. And they sat across a kitchen table nightly because, they had to work, they had families. And upon the death of several individuals in the city of Memphis, they brought that CIT program to life. It was residents. It wasn't legislative programs. It wasn't legislative body members. It was regular residents who believed in the protection of the police and their family members because they've seen too many of them die. And my concern right now is that the great state of Tennessee, the governor especially, and the attorney general, they're allowing this program, who they implemented, which has went internationally now. I mean, the CTI program is in Europe, it's in Asia, the protocols are in Lisbon, I mean, Spain, Madrid, it's everywhere. But it was established in Memphis, Tennessee. And the governor at that time, he embraced it. He loved it. He enforced it. He had a body of individuals that were there for their residents, the citizens, the tourists that come into Gatlinburg. And they could call, and he addressed every one of them at that time. But now, the way it is concerning mental health issues with children, teenagers, and adults, they just let it blow off, and it's wrong. And I guess the main reason why I came on here tonight is I wanted to give you encouragement. If you're facing any type of emergency with mental health issues, make sure that you have a witness like I did at the hotel that I was staying at. Make sure that you have a witness that you trust. Make sure that you have video that you yourself provide, that you can keep, that you can send to a protected loved one or to your cloud or storage or whatever. But I'm going to tell you now, if you send it to cloud, it can disappear. So you want to send it to someone who will download it for you. And not to give up on yourselves. Not just because you have a mental health crisis or your child has a mental health issue or a disability, you shouldn't be ashamed of that. And on social media platforms, they will run you down to the ground. That's just the way it is. And in society, they do that to people too. But you owe it to yourself and to your family members to stick up together. Don't give up on the fact that you're a human being and your life matters. And let me tell you something about public service workers, and that's what I consider police officers, public service workers. They are very good at smiling at you and not giving a shit. Many of them. And that is a very sad situation because they do not like their shifts, their 8 to 12-hour shifts, to go on smoothly. And when you're dealing with the mental health crisis, and there are protocols to go with that are federally and they are statewide and they're mandates, they will look at you and tell you, I do not have to follow federal protocol. That is a lie. Let me tell you something that happened with the CIT program. It is not just a state-run agency anymore, okay? It is a federal program. Every police department, every federal Bureau of Investigation, every state, TBI, Texas TBI, Tennessee TBI, Indiana TBI, they all receive federal funding. So, when you're in a mental health crisis, let's say I try to commit suicide and I ask for a CIT officer, that is not a state agency anymore. It is a federally run, federally protected program. And that's what a lot of police departments neglect to understand and realize. That is a federal program, just like ADA, just like any rights that we have, the Constitution, is federal, okay? CIT is a federally protected program. And if you have a mental illness or you have a mental disability, you have the right to ask for that program. So we have to protect our own and protect ourselves. And if you read about the CIT program, the history and how it became federally recognized by the president's administration several years back, I mean, it's very interesting. And it covers a lot of legalities for rights of mental health individuals that go back 30 to 40 years. And it also covers ADA. So if any officer looks at you and states to you, I do not have to follow ADA or CIT protocol, they're lying to you. But you must stick with it and you must gather your own evidence, because anything that they have in their possession, they are going to get rid of. Documentation. Another thing that you have to understand is when you are in a court system, okay, it is best to document everything that is going on, to keep records of when you file a complaint, when you file for an ADA accommodation, and always make sure that you speak to your MD doctor, your psychologist, your psychiatrist, your social worker, about anything that is going on concerning court proceedings. Make sure you get a copy of that before you walk out the door of your medical provider. You keep a record of everything. Because the problem is with many state and local court systems, they do this runaround. For instance, let's say that you committed a crime in Montgomery County. Let's say you shoplifted something. Let's say that you were in a manic state at the time. Okay, you asked for a CIT individual officer to come to you. They told you no. And then you get a public defender. At that time, okay, you ask for ADA accommodations through your public defender, and you are not given a copy of that. You're not aware that you have access to that. You need a copy of that anyway. Okay? You get a copy of that and you give it to a family member or a trusted friend to keep for you. Everything that you do within that jail with your public defender and in that courthouse, you keep a record. You ask for accommodations. You're entitled to that. You make sure you sign that. You make sure you have a copy of your medical records, because if you're in a manic state and you shoplift $10 worth of stuff and that you ask for a CIT officer, okay, there are extending circumstances there, okay? The way it works in several Tennessee counties right now, they do not like to provide ADA accommodations in civil cases. So they're not going to provide them to you in a criminal case. You're going to have to bust your own ass to get ADA accommodations if you're in a criminal situation in the county of Montgomery County. But the good news is there are some organizations in Tennessee right now that are dog watching Montgomery County judges. the dog watching Montgomery County's ADA accommodations in all areas. And that's not excluding the school system either, because there are major problems with ADA accommodations and IEP enforcement in the Montgomery County school systems. A lot of parents are getting jacked around for their rights for their kids in that system. And that is such a shame, because a lot of educators in Montgomery County right now, they are not enforcing the IEPs at those ARD meetings, and parents are getting shuffled around, and the kids are not receiving OT, PT, SLP services. And the IEPs are just being set to the side because some educators do not want to change their protocol for teaching or implementing the IEP request that was determined in an ARD meeting. That is very sad. And if the parents are not on the asses of the educators and the school administrators, those IEPs will not be enforced either. It's all about accountability for individuals to take for their own selves and their family members. And you know what? You shouldn't care whether anyone likes you or not. That doesn't matter. What you should care about is that you stand your ground. You have to stand your ground no matter which program that you're entitled to. That's what it's about. Whether you're a parent and you want services for your child, whether you have a guardianship documentation for your grown child and you want services through the Tennessee Rehabilitation Office, you're entitled to that. Your child's entitled to that when they become an adult. And when your child is in 9th grade, no matter what state you live in, a transitional program should be enforced with the IEP. That's how it works. When your child is in 9th grade, a transitional program should be implemented with the IEP. And what you're doing there is you're initiating a plan of services for your child when he or she has already graduated. So you have 4 years to implement that program. Whether it be job services, whether it be working as a volunteer within the community, whether it would include the Tennessee Rehabilitation Services, okay? It should be in the IEP once your child is in 9th grade. And I was really shocked that one individual had not received those services in Tennessee when I spoke to several people up there concerning an IEP, because those services are federally funded and they should be given to every adolescent in high school. It's a requirement. It's an option, because not every child, Tennessee rehab, just like Texas rehabilitation, they pay for college. They pay for vocational schools. They hook individuals up with job placement and training centers. All adolescents in high school and all adults receive those services free of charge. That's the reason why they're there. But many high schools do not tell parents that those programs are available to your student after graduation. They just don't do it. They're not required to. They should. And good administrators and good SPED teachers will do that for their students. And down here in Texas, we have special programs for our disabled military soldiers, and we refer them to those services. and those type of programs. And it's highly encouraged in local and participating communities that those transitional services in Texas are provided to our high school students in the ninth grade. We have advocacy groups down here, and they were implementing those when I lived in Tennessee, that all high school students should receive those services. It it um, it provides an awareness, self-respect, and encouragement for anyone with the IEP in high school to have something to look forward to, especially, let's say, that a high schooler wanted to become a veterinary assistant. Okay? Volunteer services should be provided in high school through a job training program starting in ninth grade through 12th grade. Knowledge of services within the community. And then the final goal of the Tennessee Rehabilitation Program, paying for a program for a individual that has a disability graduating from high school. The Tennessee Rehabilitation Services can pay for those type of services, that program. That would include transportation, that would include books, that would include on-the-job training, that would include uniforms, that would include the whole program, the test to become accredited. That's the way it works. And I've seen it work in Tennessee before, and I know it works in Texas now. So, but anyway, the main objective is everyone should have some type of resource within their community for advocacy for anyone that falls under ADA accommodations, that falls under the CIT program. But you have to be aware of what you're entitled to. And make sure that you cover your own ass and your family member's ass with video. Don't be rude about it when you are in a situation. Do not be rude. You have the right to have your own footage. You have the right to cover your own ass and protect yourself and those that you love who have a disability. You have the right to say, hey, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm requesting this, this, and this. That is your right. And who cares whether someone downgrades your reputation or whatever? You are protecting your rights legally. Because from experience, I'm telling you that no one else is going to do it for you. You have to establish the patterns of behavior for yourself. You have to do it respectfully, though. And you don't always go out and tell everyone everything you're doing while you're doing it. They'll know it. So it may take a while. So it may take 2 years to get all the proof you need. At least you did it for yourself and your loved one. At least you may be able to help someone else through your own experiences. That's where you have to have a sense of community. Do I believe things can change? Yes. But they are hard to change. But when a state implemented something that went federally and internationally, that state's governor should get off his ass and he should own what belonged to that state in the beginning. The crisis intervention team management system belongs to Tennessee. They need to implement it. They need to protect people. That's what it's about. So that's the end of the story, okay? And if the patterns of behavior are there that they're not doing it, there's a problem there and they need to fix it. And it's okay if government officials come out and say, "Hey, we made a mistake. Please forgive us and work with us." That's okay. They're human too. But the program is in black and white. It is a right to the residents and to the members of society that live on federally funded naval bases and army bases in that state. And when you live in a community, Chief Bernie of Clarksville, and you come out and you state, we're doing community resources activities, remember it includes all individuals in that community, not just middle class individuals. It includes the poor, the transient, the military. It includes everyone. You need to establish a pattern of community involvement for all those people that live in Montgomery County. You need to show that mental health issues are a concern for your community. And if you have to be that example, so be it. I know you've only been there a little over a year. I know you came March of last year in 2025. But if you're going to have it on your website, if you're going to say we have programs for community activities and involvement, then you yourself need to be the example. You don't need to be reminded of that. You're well aware of it. You're a very polite person. But all residents in the county of Montgomery County, in the city of Clarksville, they need you to step up and show that example, no matter what it costs you. No matter if it divides something amongst those within the authority of Clarksville. It is your job. It is your responsibility to be the example. Because obviously, the mayor is not going to be the example. And you can do it. I would encourage you, Chief Bernie, to be that example. To show all residents that you care. And I would also encourage you to praise those officers that do carry a lot within the community. Not all your officers are bad officers. And even those who have failed at providing some of these services, they're not bad officers. They just need a gentle reminder that all residents matter. No matter what their background, no matter what facet of living style they're coming from. Because that's what it's about. It's about community. It's about showing compassion to all residents in Clarksville. It's about connecting compassion between your officers and all residents. It's about seeing one of your residents having a crisis and you reach across the table or across the road and you give them a hand of support. That's what it's about. And you know it. You may be short-staffed right now. That may be true. And some of those officers may be doing double duty. But you know what? So aren't your residents. They're doing double duty. There's a lot of single parents out there who are working 2 jobs. If you know there's a problem, you shouldn't try to hide any evidence. You need to address the problem. And the other problem is You may have been told by someone in authority within the city established attorney's office that getting rid of the evidence is what you needed to do. Okay? But that was the biggest mistake that you made. You need to step up and be considerate of all your residents and of those that visit your city. And maybe once in a while you need to show up in that courtroom in circuit court in general sessions and watch what your officers are asked to go through and see that some of them are asked to lie. But you had one brave officer who showed up in court and he stood his ground. Kudos to him. He wouldn't lie. That officer stood his ground. He knew the truth. He saw the evidence. And you know what? When you have an interstate APS report that one of your lieutenants denies to address, when it goes from one state to another, guess what? That particular APS report was called in by an officer of Montgomery County. So that's the reason why it went interstate. It came all the way from Tennessee to Texas because an officer that lives and works in Montgomery County saw what happened and they decided to make that call. That's the reason why Texas APS and a local police department received it the first time and the second time. So, all your officers, whether it be a city police officer or a sheriff's officer, a deputy sheriff, not all of them are bad in Montgomery County, and I'm aware of it. So before you think that all people are going to be quiet, they're not. And not all the officers and the deputy sheriffs in Montgomery County are bad. Because I know one law enforcement officer made a call concerning my safety. And it came all the way to Texas. But it's getting to the point now where the attacks on innocent individuals on social media platforms such as Green Hoodie, involved in the Sebastian Rogers case, it's getting so bad that, and it's been stated that they're coming after Green Hoodie, okay? Associates, members, and subscribers on YouTube stated that they're coming after Green Hoodie. Green Hoodie was cleared by the Sumner County Sheriff's Department. And you have people still to this day, 2 years after Green Hoodie was cleared, you have YouTubers stating they're coming after someone who was cleared by Sumner County Sheriff's Department. There is a problem there. No one should be able to attack someone in any instance. And law enforcement do nothing about it. It's a sad situation for Green Hoodie. And I'm well aware of that. And that's very sad. Because no one knows the story of Green Hoodie. But recently, just 4 days ago, it was stated on a YouTube channel that they're coming after Green Hoodie. It's no one's business what a sheriff's department did to clear Green Hoodie. Even at night, media stated They didn't need to know the name of Green Hoodie, but they wanted to know the protocol of how Green Hoodie was cleared. It's not their business. If Green Hoodie was cleared by the sheriff's department, it's no one's business. However, it becomes some private citizen's business when it's stated on a YouTube channel that they are coming after Green Hoodie, and that person has been accused of being Green Hoodie and participated in the kidnapping and murder of a missing person. Okay? Where are your facts? Do you have documentation to back up those quotes that you're stating? Tell me, do you? Because from my understanding, it's never been stated that this particular missing person was murdered. Where are those facts? Do you have footage? Do you have documentation? Do you have a witness statement? No, you do not. But yet your subscribers on various platforms are accusing Green Hoodie and Yellow Jacket of participating in very high functioning crimes. You shouldn't do that. And the agency at night should not even be participating in this type of regurgitation of non-factual evidence. It's old news. It's been over 2 years. Green Hoodie was cleared. Okay? You just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. Accusations that mean nothing. You're trying to destroy 2 individuals' lives that no one has a right to do. So, I'm sure that the ideals associated with Green Hoodie will be addressed very soon. And it's going to be a sad situation. And guess what? The missing person has nothing to do with any of this. Has nothing to do with any of this. It's so sad. You all have a good night, and remember, video footage, video camera, documentation, and make sure you send it to someone you trust. And if you live in Tennessee, make sure you get a copy of everything immediately through the Freedom Act. Because if not, then you will be paying for it with either a PI or a private attorney. Very costly. And if you are a veteran or a military dependent or active duty up there, remember that little white MP station there at Fort Campbell. They work hand in hand with the Clarksville Police Department. So make sure that you are very careful when you speak to anyone on that base also. You all take care. And make sure that you look out for those kids up there. But there are good sheriffs and there are good police officers up there. Y'all take care. Be safe.